Hi everyone, Bob Dietrich here with another edition of the ADHD Toolbox. And today we're going to talk about something that is super important to all of us, and that is behavior. Specifically, we're going to talk about children and how parents can work with children with their behavior. And if you're an adult with ADHD and you're listening to this too, we'll talk about how that connects with you too, so you can help use this information to manage your behavior too, and connect the dots between how we work with children and how you can work with yourself with ADHD. So super exciting stuff. And today we have Kathryn Kvols here. Now, Kvols is usually, well, I've seen it pronounced C-O-L-E-S or spelled that way, but she spells it C-V-O-L-S. So if you're looking for her,
yeah, it's K-V-O-L-S. That's okay. It's a difficult name.
If you are looking to get a hold of her and you're looking for her on the internet, you'll find her using her last name, K-V-O-L-S. And so Kathryn, K-A-T-H-R-Y-N.
That's right.
And she wrote a book called Redirecting Children's Behavior. And so we're super happy to have you here, Kathryn, to tell us a little bit about this book. And really, maybe we should start with talking about your background a little bit. How did you come to the point where you wrote this book about redirecting children's behavior? Because we're all interested in that topic.
Yes. Well, I was a preschool teacher. I started out being a preschool teacher. And I found that parents were asking me so many questions about their children and how to deal with their children's misbehavior. And I had no clue what to tell them. And so I first started teaching the class, and then people said, well, please make a workbook. And so I made a workbook, and then I made a book, and then people started asking to teach the course around actually the world. So we have the course in 29 countries right now.
Wow, fantastic. So what year did you start developing this program that you taught in the preschools?
1989.
1989. And back then they were already having problems. Have you been in preschools lately? Have you talked to many preschool teachers?
Yes, I talked to a lot of preschool teachers, and the kids are driving them nuts these days.
Yes, and it seems to be on the rise, doesn't it?
It does, especially with all the technology.
Right. And so it sounds like you've developed a program that you've brought into preschools that help teachers and parents overcome these behavioral learning challenges. And is that what your book is about?
It's not just preschool age. It's from tot to teen.
Got it. And of course, us older teens like myself and you.
Yes. And like my husband who's got ADHD, and my son who had it. And, yeah.
That's the good thing about having ADHD as an adult. It keeps you young, right?
That's right. And,
right, well,
and it's never a dull moment around my husband or my son.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your book. Like, how did it come about that you were going to write a book, and then what does it cover? So for people who are interested in looking into your book and buying it for themselves, what does it cover? So how did you originally come to write it, and then what does it cover?
I came to write it because I had self-published it, and then a publisher actually came and asked me if they could publish the book. And so that was really fun. Wow. And so what's in the book is how to be kind and firm at the same time, and how to connect with our children through discipline. A lot of times we are patient, and we're kind, and then we're kind, and we're kind, and then finally we blow because we're too kind, and we haven't found that fine balance between being kind and firm at the same time, or usually too kind or too firm, but that fine balance is what we're looking for. And I teach skills, help parents teach skills that are life skills for children. So a lot of times a parent will say to a child, quit fighting, but they haven't taught them the life skill of how to do conflict resolution. Or they'll say, clean your room, and the child won't have any idea how to clean the room, and the parent will think that the child is being defiant when really we haven't taught them the life skill of organization. So it's about checking to make sure that that the child isn't misbehaving because they're missing a life skill. And that's especially important for our kids with ADHD, because a lot of times they do not have the skill.
Right, right. Awesome. That sounds incredible. And in your book, do you go through like these conflict resolution processes and these little techniques that help in those situations?
Yes, we have. I have them both in my book, and then I also have a coinciding workbook that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of worksheets in that workbook.
Fantastic. Well, at the end of our interview today, we're going to give everyone a free gift, which is the Help My Child Listen video. And wouldn't we all love our children to listen better and more intently? It sounds like your video is going to help give some tips on how to do that. So thank you for offering that.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right. So today we're gonna dig into some specific tools that you can use as parents or even as adults listening to this program. And these tools, I talked with Kathryn intensely about what are we going to cover, what can we cover today, what tools can you add, and so she's going to add these three tools. First of all, something she calls GEMS, GEMS, which are genuine. What would you call it? Genuine
encounter moments.
Encounter moment. I was going to say experience. Encounter moments. So genuine encounter moments. Then we're going to talk about questions versus directives and how you can ask more questions versus being, telling them what to do. And then we're going to talk about 3 steps to setting limits. So these are really cool techniques and cool tools that you're going to be able to use for the rest of your life in working with children or working with your children as they grow into adulthood, or even working with yourself or in adult situations. So let's dig into this, Kathryn. And let's start with GEMS. So what are these genuine encounter moments?
Okay, so there are some steps to it. So step number 1 is when your child comes to you to get attention, or another word that I like to use better is when they come to you to connect.
Right.
A lot of times we're too busy. The child will bring a butterfly to us and we'll go, oh yes, that's nice, that's really lovely. And we won't really attend to them. And what happens then is the child does not, I liken children to like a gas tank. They come for a fill up to us. And if they get filled up, then they go away and they play for a little while and they're content. If they don't get those fill ups, then they tend to misbehave. I'm sure everybody's heard the phrase, if a child would rather have negative attention than no attention at all. So the GEM is a way to fill your child up. And so the first step is you want to get down on your child's level, their eye level. Because when we tower over them, it can feel very intimidating to them.
Got it. So physically down to their level.
Yes.
Would you also recommend bringing them up to your level? No?
Certainly.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Either way, as long as you're eye level with them.
That's right.
Got it.
Number 2 is to make friendly eye contact. And research is telling us that when you and I make eye contact, what happens is that a bond occurs. And that bond, there's a chemical by the name of dopamine that's released in both of our bodies that creates that bond. And so being able to connect with our eyes is a really good way to help that child feel more connected to us.
Got it.
And that can sometimes be a little bit hard with those children that we're talking about today. So it's important that we make that time for that eye connection.
Got it. So,
okay.
So in those genuine encounter moments, you get down to their level, you make a eye contact, and then
right.
And
then you follow their lead. What we tend to do is we tend to hijack our children's conversations with either advice or correction or us putting in our input. So instead, what we want to do is to just follow their lead. And so you're not sitting there going, oh, well, where did you find the butterfly? Oh, what color is that butterfly? That's hijacking the conversation. So instead, you want to just listen to them and respond from what they're saying with maybe, you don't even need to say that much. It's like, oh, wow, oh, just something that lets your child know that you are really there for them. And that comes to the next step, which is giving the child 100% of your focus. So you're not off planning your meal for tonight or thinking about the argument you had with your spouse. You're like totally present with that child.
Got it. So cell phone down, off, TV off, or whatever. No distractions, just being completely 100% present.
That's correct.
It's so hard nowadays. It's like, we are so distracted as a community. But yeah, so awesome. That's great advice.
Yeah. And then there's one final step.
Yep.
And that final step is to respond from the heart instead of the head. And I've talked a little bit about that. So, if your child comes to you and says, look, I found this butterfly. And we go, yes, honey, what does butterfly stand for? That's a head response. So instead you want to, and that takes all the energy away from your child. It just takes away from their experience. Mm-hmm. So instead you just want to come from the heart with that, oh, wow, type response where it's from the heart. And there are two kinds of moments. There are the genuine encounter moments and there are teachable moments. So I'm not saying never do a teachable moment where you go and you look up a butterfly and that sort of thing. But there should be many, many opportunities for genuine encounters throughout the day.
That's so interesting because I know as I'm listening to you talk that my immediate thought was that, and I've heard other people say this, was that, okay, so you ask them questions that help them take them deeper into their experience. But what you're saying is that that's hijacking the conversation. And what we want to do is just be as amazed as they are, even though we've seen it 100 times. They're seeing it for the first time. We just share in that excitement and that wonder.
Yes, that's so true. And that is, the whole wonder of seeing it through a child's eyes. It's a remarkable connection.
Okay. All right. So these are, it sounds like then these genuine encounter moments will occur naturally as a child brings them up then, right? They're not something we're looking for. It just happens naturally and we need to be aware when they occur so we can be in the moment and present with them.
Yes, that's correct. And it's not so important that you do it every time that your child comes to you because that's not humanly possible. Right. But if you can do it several times throughout the day, there is one exception though, and that is if you have a teenager. Teenagers tend to come less and less to their parents. So I highly recommend that if a teenager comes to you with those kinds of moments, you want to drop everything. You want to turn off the spaghetti. You want to do whatever you can so that you can become an available parent to that child.
So as an adult with a teen, you want to be hyper aware that this may occur, and when it does, you need to drop everything, make sure that you're in the moment.
Yes.
Now, what does that do as far as, does it set up the communication, or is it deepening the connection? Is that what this is deepening the connection so you're better able to redirect behavior later?
Right. I have found that if I give my child a gem before I ask them to do something, that they're far more cooperative because they feel connected. When we feel connected to someone, we feel more like cooperating. When we are not connected, we're not wanting to cooperate.
Beautiful. Love this. Okay, great. This is a little different, but is there a way to use this with adults as well?
Yes, it's great. I tell parents that the husband and wife relationship is the glue of the family. And if that gets watered down, that creates more stress, which creates more tension and more acting out. So gems is a wonderful thing for parents to do with each other. And people can use this in your workplace too.
I work a lot with personal development and leadership, and it occurs to me that this is a great leadership tool for people to strengthen those connections and have more compliant, people that work for you and team members and things like that. Just by being in the wonder and excitement of their own projects that they turn into or the things that they do within your team.
Yes, we live in such a fast-paced society. It just really feels good to feel connected to someone.
Yeah. And it seems like it's also a form of recognition too.
Yeah, it's one of our deepest needs to feel connected.
Yeah, and recognized and
Mhm.
validated and all that stuff. So yeah, it covers the whole gambit. So that's awesome. I love that. Okay, number one is gems, genuine encounter moments. So the second thing we're going to talk about, the second tool we're going to talk about is questions versus directives. And I think this is what you were talking about those teachable moments. Is that right?
No, this is a little different.
Okay. All right. What is this? Tell us about
Okay, so I'm going to invite your audience to just close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to listen to me, and I want you to just imagine yourself being a little child, and this is what you hear throughout your day from the adults in your life, okay?
it.
So wake up, wake up, come on, wake up, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, brush your hair. It's breakfast time, come on. Hurry up. You're making me late. Come on, hurry up. And then when you get to school, sit down, be quiet, get your books out. And then when you come home, do your homework, brush your teeth, go to bed. I said go to bed. Go to bed now. Okay, open up your eyes. And how are you feeling?
Yeah, not good. That's really, yeah, thank you. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Realize that.
And kids get 284 compliance requests a day from adults.
Yeah, and kids with ADHD don't respond to this type of stuff.
No, they don't. They don't. So instead of making what I call those is compliance requests, we're asking them to comply or demanding them to comply. And so instead, and when we do that, like you said, it creates resistance. It makes the child not want to cooperate.
Right.
It often creates passive aggressive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So the child will agree to do something and they'll forget. Okay. So instead of using compliance requests, we want to use questions instead. Because when I say those words to you, you don't have to think, right? You're not thinking. The only thing you're thinking is, I'm not doing it, right? Okay. So what we want to do is we want to help our kids to think. So for a little child, not a teenager, but a little child, instead of saying, put your shoes away, you would say, where do your shoes belong? Okay. For a teenager, instead of saying, do your homework, you'd say, what's your plan for homework today? So you notice how those questions actually get you thinking, and they don't make you want to resist the person who's saying them.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. What would be cool on the second half of this exercise is to close our eyes and have those questions come, and we notice the definite difference between the feeling of go do your homework, which is what's your plan for homework today,
Mm-hmm.
or time for breakfast versus what would you like to eat before you go to school, or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So questions versus directives, basically asking questions instead of giving direction as to what to do. And
Mm-hmm.
that it sounds like it creates less stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly
Yes.
gives them more of a feeling of empowerment. Because I know from kids, and I think why teenagers rebel is because they're rebelling against this constant directive that they have. This
Mm-hmm.
constant directive narrative that goes through their head, and they want to rebel from it. Because
Right.
I'm thinking about it listening to you, and I'm thinking, geez, nobody tells me what to do anymore, and it feels great. And when they do, I don't like it, and I can't
Right.
imagine what a kid goes through with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of coaching of parents, and another thing that I do with parents of younger children is I'll have them make note cards of what the child's routine is in the morning with the child. So like brush your teeth, brush your hair, wake up. And so there's one element on each postcard or a note card. And then you have the child figure out what order to go in. And then you take that and put it on the back of their door. And then instead of saying, go brush your teeth, you just say, what's next on your routine? And that really gives them a sense of power and like they're in control, which leads to less power struggles.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Because, I do a lot of work, like I said, in personal development. And what the other thing that is really challenging is overcoming beliefs that are created at a young age. And that the belief of I'm not enough is probably the biggest belief that people walk away from young age with. And they take that into adulthood, and it makes it hard to do things like public speaking or stepping into your power and all sorts of different challenges. It becomes that obstacle. And I think one of the reasons that belief comes into play is exactly what you're talking about, is this constant directive narrative of I'm not enough, I can't make my own decisions, I have to do what everybody else tells me to, versus what you're talking about, which is empowering kids with questions so they make their own choices, which are going to be the same thing anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, great. So gems, questions, and directives. Now let's jump into the 3 steps to setting limits.
Okay, so
what about this, and where did it come from, and what limits are we setting, and why?
Okay, so the reason why you want to set limits is because children feel secure when there are limits. When there aren't limits, they don't feel secure, and you oftentimes see kids bouncing off the wall, literally, to get limits set. And even though teens rebel against setting limits, they want it. So it's this push-pull, I don't want limits, but I do want limits, Right. So limits make you feel loved, they make you feel secure, they help you to deal with conflict in your life. So limits are great. And they help parents too, because then you don't have to argue about everything all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So a parent wants to set limits around things like use of profanity, use of put downs in your home. A lot of times one child will say to another child, "Oh, you're stupid," or "You're adopted," So, and a lot of parents think, well, that's just, it's just kids. It's just sibling rivalry. But as you know, in your personal development work, it really takes a toll on someone's self-confidence.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. So use of videos and screen time, that's a biggie. Kids are using way too much screen time, and as a result, they're becoming more hyperactive. Kids are becoming addicted to screen time. I was at a birthday party for a bunch of 6-year-old boys, and there were all these wonderful things to do, and several of the little boys said, "I'm bored. Can I play with my Game Boy?" I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So bedtime, homework, those are all issues that you might want to have some limits set around.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So let's start with bedtime. Let's say that you're my little boy and you're 8 years old. Okay. And we've agreed that 8:30 is your bedtime. Okay.
Yep.
So the first step is you want to make the child feel, it's called empathy, but there are 3 elements of empathy. So there's understood, heard, and accepted. So those 3 elements need to be involved in empathy.
Understood, heard, and accepted.
Right.
Okay.
We mentioned earlier about that we want to feel connected. We want to feel like there's someone in our life that really gets us. And so when you're able to put those 3 elements into empathy, it works so much better. So you don't want to simply, when you're empathizing, you don't want to go, I understand. That's not enough. You want to create those 3 elements. And I'll show you how in a second. So let's say I say to you, Bob, it's time for bed. And I want you to argue with me, to start saying that you don't want to.
Okay. I don't want to go to bed. It's too early.
It's just too early and you don't feel like going to bed right now.
Yeah. Okay. I want to play on my game more. My friends are still up.
Yeah, your friends are still up and you want to play more. I get it. Okay, so that's step number one, is just simply to get the child.
Agreeing
Okay.
with them, kind of reiterating what they are saying, kind of, right?
Yeah, it's reiterating, but to take it even to the next level, which is, really thinking about what you would be like if you were that little kid. So like putting yourself in their shoes. So
Okay.
it's not just paraphrasing what the child is saying.
Okay. So step one,
Um,
empathy,
right,
through reiteration and communication. Okay.
right. And then you wait until the child nods, like you did. You went, uh-huh. So that's a symbol to you that they feel like you get them. Okay. Now we are not looking for this kind of nod or this kind of nod, okay, because those are wanting you to go away or back off. We're looking for the little simple nod that you did, okay?
Right.
So that means that then you can go to the next step. Now notice that I did not put a but in there, okay? If you say, oh, I know you really want to play some more games and your friends are still up, but okay, when you put the but, it's like, forget everything I just said. Now here comes what I want, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So no buts.
So then you want to like have a little pause, and then you want to just say one word. So it would be bedtime. And the reason why you just want to say one word is, let's do a little argument here for a minute. Go ahead and tell me you don't want to play. You don't want to go to bed.
Yeah. I don't want to go to bed. It's too early.
It's not too early, and you have to get up in the morning.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I can do it. I can wake up. All my friends are up.
Okay, great. So this is what I call wiggle room. So when we talk too much, it creates wiggle room where the child starts trying to negotiate with us.
Right.
And so that's why you want to just say one word, and you say it with a smile on your face, but firm. And so it would be bedtime. Okay. And so you only want to say that 2 or 3 times. And then what you want to do is you want to give them a choice. Now, for younger kids, the more fun you make the choice, the better off you are. So if you say, would you like to hop like a bunny up the stairs, or would you like me to throw you over my shoulders like a sack of potatoes? Okay.
Right.
So that when you make it fun, I'm sure you've noticed that with children, the more fun you make it, the more cooperation you get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So those are the 3 steps for setting limits.
Got it. So connect with them using empathy, right? Agreeing with them. Then say the one word, right?
Mm-hmm.
To direct them to where you want them to go, and then make the execution of that fun.
Yeah, and give them a choice about it.
Give them a choice. Okay, give them choice A or B, and then make it fun.
Right.
Got it.
Right, and both choices need to be choices that the child will think are fun. It's not. You can either hop like a bunny, or you won't have any TV for the next week.
Right. So they choose from 2 fun ways to do it. Okay. All right. Sweet. So those are the 3 steps to setting limits with your children. Is there an effective way to use this, or is there a modified way, or is there other ways that you can use this to help with teenagers that's effective with teenagers?
Yeah. What you want to do with teenagers is the first 2 steps are the same,
Mm-hmm.
and the 4th step would be more of a question. So how will you do this? So you're leaving it more open-ended. So like for homework, it might be, would you like to do your homework in the study, or would you like to do it here at the table with me? Or it could be, what would be a better choice? Or what choice do you think is going to make you less tired in the morning? So you throw out more toward them than you giving them a choice.
Okay, so let's say the child is in their room. They're on their video game with their friends. It's 7 o'clock, time for homework, let's say. and you walk in the room, and it's like, you're like, um, how would the conversation start? You would say it's time for homework,
Yeah.
and then they would say, I'm on with my friends, and, you'll say something like, so you're playing with your friends right now? That sounds cool. And then you say, time for homework, right? Or homework.
Right. Good catch. The less words you say, the better.
Right. Okay. You say homework, and they may say something else, and then you say homework until they get it, and then you can come back in and say, would you like to do your homework up here, or would you like to come downstairs and do it so I can help you, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then give them those two choices.
Right. Now, sometimes the child, you might need to hold out your hand for the video game or the phone. So if I grab the phone from you, I've taught you that force is what counts, power is what counts, and I just don't have enough yet. That's what the kid learns when you grab for the phone or the video game. So instead, what you want to do is you just want to hold out your hand, put a smile on your face, and don't say anything until they put the phone in your hand. The more you talk, the more you're going to get the wiggle room. So you just put a smile on your face and hold out your hand.
Got it. Wow. Takes a lot of discipline to be a parent nowadays. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, we're used to talking way too much.
Yeah. Well, this is great information. This is really good. So there you have it. You got 3 more tools for your toolbox, thanks to Kathryn, which are the genuine encounter moments and how to work with those to deepen your connection with your kids, with your teens, or even with adults, using questions versus directives. So you stimulate and empower the people that you talk to, especially your children, instead of directing them where to go, because they got plenty of that. And then 3 steps to setting limits, so you can be so you can have your kids be more compliant, get stuff done, get their homework done, and really start to, work within the structure of the home that you've set up. So awesome. Well, you again want to reiterate the free gift that you're getting us. Tell us a little bit about this video on Help My Child Listen. What will people expect from that free gift that you're giving us?
So a lot of times parents will complain to me that my kid won't listen and I have to repeat myself 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets really wearing on both you and your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this video, it's short, it's 13 minutes, and it gives you some tips on how to get your child's attention and listen the first time.
Wow, we should just have this on the toolbox then. All right, well, it's certainly another tool for you to use with your children. So there you go. And the link to that is down below. And if you're interested in getting a hold of Kathryn, her email and her website is also listed down below, so you can get more information from her directly. And you can find her book on Amazon. Is that correct?
Yes, you can find it on Amazon or my website, which is,
direct from your website. Awesome.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here and giving us these tools. Again, the book is Redirecting Children's Behavior by Kathryn Kvols, Kvols. And it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, thank you, Bob. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you. And thanks for being the little boy. You're a good actor.
It's my little boy inside coming out. So thank you. Thanks for your help. And thank you for watching this edition of the ADHD Toolbox. We'll see you on the next program. Thank you, Kathryn.
Thank you.